We're live now, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Good evening and welcome to this February meeting of the Policy and Finance Committee of Beverley Town Council. This meeting is being live streamed on YouTube via Zoom, so welcome to anybody who might be watching. And I will be making a roll call of councillors who are present. Councillor Anne Willis, Councillor Duncan Jack, Councillor Claire Wildey, who is substituting for Councillor Chloe Hopkins, Councillor Dennis Healy, and I'm in the chair, Councillor Linda Johnson. I'll hand over to the town clerk, the acting town clerk, to explain about the delegation of duties.
Yeah, for those who have seen our meetings in the past, due to the Coronavirus Act not permitting decisions to be made remotely anymore, the powers were devolved to the town clerk when they could make a decision to make the resolutions. However, everything at these meetings is a recommendation, but that guides the work and the actions that I take as clerk when making the resolutions, and anything that requires an in-person resolution will take place at full council, which do take place in person. And given the change in the rules, which we understand are coming into play, the council will have to discuss how we move forward in terms of meetings in person, etc., at the next meeting. But for now, we're still meeting remotely until we change that decision.
Thank you very much. Apologies for absence. Do you have any apologies for absence, Matt?
Councillor Chloe Hopkins, my Councillor Wildey is here, and Councillor Thomas Dell.
Thank you. Could I ask councillors if they have any declarations of interest in respect to the agenda items listed? Those declaring an interest should identify the agenda item and type of interest being declared. No, thank you very much. No declarations of interest. Are there any dispensations given this evening, Matt?
No dispensations have been received.
Thank you very much. Move on to agenda item number 4, to approve and sign the minutes of the Policy and Finance Committee meeting held on the 17th of January 2022. You have a copy of the minutes of that meeting that didn't seem that long ago. Do I have a proposer for those minutes, please? Thank you, Councillor Healy. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Jack. Is everybody happy with those minutes? Nod of heads is fine. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
Just to confirm, tomorrow morning, Councillor Johnson's coming into the offices to sign those minutes.
Yes, I am. First thing, crack a screech, 9 o'clock. Welcome, Councillor Pete Astell. Good to see you, as I know you've been ill recently. So good to see you're looking a lot better than you have been.
Thank you.
Let's move on to agenda item number 5. To review the current account payments made between the 1st of December 2021 and the 31st of December 2021.
Apologies, that might be my mistyping again. Yeah, that should be.
It's the 1st of February and the 28th of February.
Yes, so something on note has gone very wrong with all of these minutes or the agenda. So all the dates should read the 1st of February to the 28th of February. Apologies for that for these next items.
However, the agenda pack that was sent does ensure that those dates are correctly listed, and indeed we have had an updated agenda item 5A list, which additionally adds more payments which have come in since the agenda pack was prepared. I don't see anything contentious on this list of payments. Is everybody happy with that list of payments? Yeah, thumbs up, nods all round. Thank you very much. So we have reviewed those and we are happy with those payments.
Could I just ask, Madam Chair, you're coming at 9 o'clock tomorrow. Would you be able to pop in sometime tomorrow, Councillor Jack, to sign them, with you being so nearby?
Yeah, not a problem, Matt.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question, Chair?
You may indeed.
Have we had any payment, bills yet from British Gas? I see there's some electricity bills from Eon. For our new gas supplier, do we have any invoices from them to pay yet?
Not yet. We gave them our first meter reading a couple of weeks ago, so we should receive our first bill in roughly another fortnight's time for the month.
Thank you, Matt.
They should be on the next list of payments at the next Policy and Finance meeting.
Yes.
Thank you for that confirmation. So that's agenda item 5A. Agenda item 5B. Only 2 credit card payments this month. Are we happy with those credit card payments? Yeah.
Just comment, you, Madam Chair, you'll notice that the number of payments are reducing now on the credit card because we've moved the Zoom onto the debit card and we've cancelled the small Google accounts because now we've got our email system changed. So that's why you'll notice less payments now on the credit card.
Thank you. And the remote system that's being used, that has been recently set up during the past year or so, it's working efficiently. Fantastic, that's great news. Good, let's move on to agenda item 5C to review the bank statements between the 1st of December and the 16th of February, in fact, 2022.
As you can see from the chart, the bank balances are on the final column as of the 16th of February. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. We don't go into as much detail because it's not the quarter, but the quarter will look at them in more detail.
And councillors Tucker and Hopkins come in to reconcile these accounts on a regular basis. That's correct, isn't it?
Yeah, they come in and carry out the checking of the procedures with each quarter, and that report then goes to full council to see.
It's good to see we're getting a little bit of interest on our deposit account with CCLA. It's not a lot, but every little helps, as they say. So that's encouraging, but thank you for that. Is everybody happy with the bank balances? Do I have any queries with regard to the bank balances? No, that's great. Thank you very much indeed. Yes, so that was 5C and 5D, in fact. Excellent. So let's move on to agenda item 6. And I will pass straight over to Matt to explain agenda item 6.
Yeah, what I've done is compile the action plans from the 2020-21 internal audits and the most recent interim internal audit that we discussed at full council last week. So now all the ongoing actions are together and all the completed actions are together. In total, there's 53 actions, of which 18 are ongoing and 35 are resolved. As I've explained at full council, some of the ones that are ongoing will always be ongoing to some degree because an audit is live. It's always actionable, and things will always develop and change. And some things we only do maybe once a year, and we've not got to that point yet, which is why it's ongoing. For example, councillor and staff training and development. We can have a plan in place, but it's constantly got to be developing and ongoing. Hopefully this illustrates how far we've come in the past year and a bit. There'll always be things to update and to revise and to develop, but this action plan has kept myself as the acting town clerk, working with my colleagues, focused on what needs to be achieved and by which dates and with which committees, etc. But as always, we need some flexibility in case some things take longer than we anticipated. But hopefully that shows councillors where we are at this point with all the recommendations.
Thank you, Matt. I think I would also like to comment that, of course, we never know. This is not. This is also ongoing improvements within our council, but also includes AGAR recommendations as well. And of course, we never know until a few months before the AGAR needs to be submitted as to whether they have made additional recommendations that need to be actioned. So yes, as you say, this is always going to be an ongoing plan because we can always do things better. But I think you should be commended on the work that you've put into this. It clearly has been a mammoth task, and I for one would like to recognise the hard work that that you and Libby and Carol have put into making such a difference to the way in which our council is run. So thank you, and I'd like that to be recorded officially. Thank you. Are there any queries from anyone with regard to the internal audit action plan, either the resolved issues or the ongoing issues? I think this is a very comprehensive document.
If I could just to point out one other thing, which is connected to the next agenda item, is that there's also sometimes the issue of things straddling years.
Oh yes.
So one thing that needs to be resolved is resolved in the current year, but some of the paperwork to it in the process for it started the year before. So at times it just straddled the 2 financial years, which does create some anomalies, which we can see in the next item.
But there is a plan for dealing with that going forward, and that's what that's all about. So if there are no queries with regard to agenda item number 6, can we move on to agenda item number 7, please, Matt?
Yeah, this is quite straightforward, Madam Chair. As explained in the document, which is, and all this is on our website, a member of the electorate, as is within their rights, has written to Little John's with the external auditor, raising issues based on correspondence that sent to them in a previous year regarding comments made in this year's first interim internal report. What you've got in front of you and on the document that's online are the issues the member of the electorate pointed out that are in the interim report. The underlining is the member of the public's, and then in red are our officer responses, led by myself with advice from Carol and Libby, to address the situation. I won't go into them all in detail unless any questions, other than to say the first one is a good example of where something straddles 2 financial years, and whilst you try to resolve and change systems, so it creates that anomaly. So I'll just leave it there, and if there's any questions regarding any of these, I'll try and answer them for members.
Are there any queries with regard to the, yes, Councillor Healy?
Apart from to say, I think you've given some comprehensive answers. I think it's important that when members of the public exercise their right, that they can see the answers thoroughly laid down. And as you say, Matt, that there are certain circumstances where things straddle financial years and things which isn't necessarily immediately obvious to people, and it looks as though there may not be a purchase order, but if it's straddling a financial year, there's a good reason for that. And again, I'm not going to go into all of those, but I'm certainly grateful to members of the public for their diligence and interest in Beverley Town Council, holding us to account. And thank you in particular to Matt and the team for the answers that you've given. We represent our residents, and they are entitled to ask questions, and they are entitled to professional answers in the way that you have provided. So I want to thank you for that, and same to Libby and Carol. Thank you. Thank you,
Councillor Healy. Are there any other queries with regard to agenda item number 7? We were happy and clear. I think just to reiterate, for those of you who weren't on this council, purchase orders were put in place when we adopted the upgraded RBS system. So prior to that, the system was old and not really fit for purpose, and we voted to ensure that our officers had the best possible equipment to work with and the best possible system to work with. And there have been many changes made since a better system was put in place for them to work with. So, and all credit for our officers for getting to grips with what is a very different system, and has taken quite a bit of working around, moving systems across. So thank you for this. If there are no other comments, then it is now 18:46, and I believe, Matt, we can close this meeting.
I shall close the live stream.
Thank you.
When I figured out how to, if you just hold with me, when I'm using 2 computers and 2 mice, I sometimes get confused between the two.
Very